Hi everyone, Andy here at Spymaster Gaming. Welcome back to the channel and a very warm welcome if it's your first time joining us. Happy New Year to all of you, and with a new year comes New Year's resolutions, because apparently an arbitrary day means that you should try and change your life for the better. I'm not that good at that, but I am going to try and make some resolutions for the channel regardless. So this year I want to focus on fantasy. Last year I was very much looking at alternatives to Warhammer 40k and showing some other systems out there, but this year I want to look at fantasy with the Old World, or Warhammer the Old World by Games Workshop being the starting point. I want to look at that as it's going to be releasing in a couple of weeks and seeing if it's actually a good system, but then providing you with alternatives to rank and flank fantasy, as well as some other fantasy skirmish games as well. So hopefully you'll find that content interesting. If you want anything specific covered, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try and give it a look. And hopefully you'll like what I put out. But first off, I want to discuss what we've seen of Warhammer the Old World so far. So the pre-orders are going up next week for the Bretonian Army box and the Tomb King's Army box and the core books, with the prices roughly, well, they've been leaked at £175 and I think $255. I'm already a bit concerned by what I've seen, purely because there's a lot of nostalgia bait. And I know you're probably thinking, well, the whole concept of the Old World is built around nostalgia bait, in that they're trying to get all of the old Warhammer fantasy players back. But from what I see not a lot of love being given to the initial stage of this game, with the fact that you've got the best part of 80% of the army boxes consisting of 20-year-old plus sculpts, and what they're saying they're going to be releasing for the Bretonians and Tomb Kings in the coming weeks, months, are still going to be a combination of old metal figures as well as a bit of resin and plastic. So you've got three different materials there, which doesn't really scream of a consistent approach. Really just digging out the old molds and trying to do what they can with them, and then giving a couple of new updated hero sculpts by the looks of it. I'm concerned as well with the fact that they've put out a game a couple of years ago, Warhammer 30k, the Age of Darkness box set, the Horus Heresy, and that release schedule has sort of been drip fed over the past couple of years. There's not been that much constant content. So for another big system to come out, I don't know whether they've got the production means to actually keep up with it. They've also released Legions Imperialis a couple of months ago, which will have its own release schedule. So I think what we're really going to see is a staggered release over many, many months, really drip feeding, and probably it's going to take an age for all of the armies within the Old World system to get their releases, and it could probably be quite a while before you may see your favorite faction on the tabletop. It's purely speculation from my part, but they're a company with limited production. They have to cater to their main systems, which are 40k and Age of Sigmar, and then everything else outside of that will come second because they're not seen as the main systems. Pricing as well, like I say, £175. That's a hell of a lot for a starter army. It's not even something that you can split with another player. You've got comparable rank and flank games. I will think of one, say Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, which I will cover in a future video this year, where you can get basically 2 starter forces and 2 rulebooks for that price, maybe even a bit less, which is very, very telling. I don't want this to be an overly negative video. I think the Old World has a spot in many people's hearts. It was one of the systems that I first picked up when I came into the hobby. I had some orcs and goblins, which I'm hopefully going to be revisiting this year. But again, asking people to pay again and arguably more for the sculpts that they may have already had, I don't know whether that's a successful strategy. And then if you've got trying to attract a new market, people who have only really experienced the nice figures of, say, Age of Sigmar and modern 40k, they're going to look at those sculpts and think, oh, they're a bit dated. they're charging quite a lot for stuff that's quite outdated and doesn't look as good, um, which is a shame, really, because I think had this been marketed at probably a lower price point, the models in the old world in the box sets that we've seen already are actually really, really beginner friendly. It's something that I complain about a lot to my sort of friends, where we look at the sort of the nature of new models coming out. They really aren't beginner friendly. They are loaded with detail. It takes an absolutely age to paint a single model, even if it's just a normal, say, Space Marine, Primaris Marine. Everything's got so much detail. The older sculpts were cleaner. They were less burdened with that detail. And I think that's a trick they're missing, really. If they lowered the price point for this, you probably get a new wave of hobbyists who probably think, actually, I can paint those models because they're not that detailed. Um, but £175 is a big, big ask. I bought recently in the Black Friday sales before Christmas. I picked up a 3D printer. I finally bit the bullet, had a go with it. I got a 3D printer and a wash and cure station, which is for the obviously cleaning of the models and using the UV light to cure it. I got that for less than a single box set, what this box set is being marketed at, which I think is really quite bad. The fact that I've been able to do that. I mean, it's good for me, but it's not good for the hobby overall, because you've now made 3D printing a cheaper alternative to actually get into in the first instance, which wasn't always the case. It would always cost more than a box set, but now 3D printing is potentially cheaper than an introductory box set, which I think is mad. Um, Let me know what you think. Are you a bit worried about the old world? Are you a bit worried that the price points are wrong? How do you feel about the return of some ancient sculpts and the mixture of materials that they're going to be using? Do you think that that's a mistake? Do you think they should have moved everything into plastic and tried to keep with the times while retaining the old world charm? Let me know what you think. Drop a like and subscribe if you want to see the content that I'm planning on putting out this year, and I will see you on the next one.